little bit about Best of Seville voting and some amazing businesses that have been nominated for the Best of Seville 2022 that have also appeared on Today y Mañana, including our guest later today, which is Ian Blomsty. He's the owner of Vitae Spirits. Then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about some minority enterprise grants coming up.
Okay, that's right, yeah.
And then I know Xavier definitely has some economic topics.
Some hot things, yeah.
Some hot topics that he would like to cover.
So exciting.
But it's,
I'm so happy. I am so happy to be back. You have no idea.
Yes,
this is like like you don't have your caffeine for a few days and you just really miss it. Boy, did I miss it.
So you're saying that Xavier B now runs on Today y Mañana?
Pretty much. At least on Thursdays.
At least on Thursdays. Well, I think our audience definitely missed you last week.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind.
So I just as a general sentiment, I'm sure there were some people that were glad to have a little break from Xavier.
Okay, I think you could cut off there. Otherwise, we're going to get down to some people to maybe
we'll
one.
Stop there. But be sure to like and share. Tell your friends about today's show. So we have a lot lined up. We have a lot of news we're going to cover, a lot of exciting things we're going to talk about. I'm going to try some new amazing creations from Vitae Spirits, which is always one of the things we most look forward to here on Today y Mañana. A little thank you, shout out, Christy Muniz. Thanks for watching the show this morning. Lucrecia Morales, gracias por mirar el programa de hoy. And,
muy bien dicho, muy bien dicho.
Gracias. I always have to remember the de hoy. Yeah. Today's program is the program of today. And be sure to get your café con leche. I think we're ready to go. All right, let's do it.
Quiet on the set.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Xavier, who is back from his New York trip. We are very glad to have him back, and this is Today y Mañana. In the morning, we are happy to be here on the I Love Seville Network set. As always, we are presented by Emergent Financial Services. We are powered by the Gym Seville, by Aqua Seville Hand Car Wash, by Vitae Spirits Distillery, by Castle Hill Cider, by our friends Mirel and Chick at Serious Credit Insurance, by GBS Financial Services, and we are always with Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So we got a lot going on.
We got a lot to go, yeah, a lot to cover today, and I'm just delighted to be back and sitting here with you. You did a great job without me last week, and I'm saying, wait a minute, is he going to go solo now?
No, I would never. It's too much fun with you. Okay. I can't. I could never do that. And I was lucky last week. We had 3 fantastic guests, so I didn't need to worry about what do I actually say. If I'm not interviewing someone.
You needed a filler
I didn't need to.
Let me see what Xavier says, and I could say,
Exactly. I don't get that delight. So thanks for everyone for tuning in this morning. Grab your café con leche, like and share the show today. Send us any questions, comments. So I see we'd already got our friend Lee Elberson watching this morning. Thank you, Lee. He says, love Ian. Keep up the good work, Alex. Thank you, Lee. We really appreciate you joining us this morning on Today y Mañana. And as Lee said, we're going to be joined shortly by Ian Blomsty. He's the owner of Vitae Spirits right here in downtown Charlottesville. Start off, I think, with a little fantastic news. So definitely the Best of Seville 2022 awards are ready to be voted upon. The nominations are all in. So from now through July 1st, I believe, so now through the end of June, you can go online to vote.c-ville.com, or very easily you can type into Google Best of Seville 2022, and it will take you right there.
All right.
And you can vote for Today y Mañana, which has been nominated for the best podcast.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Which I did not do myself.
Okay.
Full disclosure, I did not know that I did not think to nominate ourselves. So just a thank you to anyone who nominated Today y Mañana. You can go on, and we encourage you to vote for us if you really enjoy Today y Mañana as the best podcast in Charlottesville. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about so many of the amazing guests we've had on Today y Mañana
that have
been nominated
for
the best in their field for Best of Seville. So, I mean, first off, so we've got Lily Graciela, who has been on, well, Lily Rene, but Lily Graciela is her stage name.
Exactly.
That she has been on several times. She actually was on with Ian last time Ian was on.
Okay.
Lily Graciela was also on Today Mañana. And so she has been nominated both as Best Band and as Best Music Artist here in Charlottesville. So you can vote for her on both counts. Ana Antigua, Realtor, that we had on, a Latina Realtor that we had on last year, has been nominated in the Realtor category, so congratulations to her. For Best Bar, of course, our friends at El Bebedero have naturally been nominated, so if you really enjoy taking the scorpion shot, you can certainly go there and vote for them. Best Bartender, Michael Lamond from the Alley Light, who we had on, I think, last fall. Very creative, fun guy. He has been nominated. In terms of food, we have lots of Latinos that have been nominated. We've got Guadalajara, Johnny Ornelas, our friend there. Guajiros, Miami Eatery, for both Best Restaurant and Best Brunch.
Oh, wow.
You can vote with them. So I knew their breakfast was good because they have such great coffee and they have the breakfast tacos and so forth. But Best Brunch is apparently a category, so you can vote for Guajiros twice if you really love your Cuban food. Our friends Arepas on Wheels.
Oh, okay.
That we interviewed a few weeks ago.
That's right.
I think,
Not too long ago.
Not too long ago, has been nominated in the Best Food Truck category, along with our friend Fernando Tizon from Little Manila.
Okay.
Has been nominated. In terms of wineries, you have Hazy Mountain. We interviewed Luke and Maggie from Hazy Mountain,
That's right.
I think a month or so ago.
That's right.
So they have been nominated in the vineyard category. In terms of cideries, naturally, Castle Hill Cider has been nominated there. In terms of breweries, we have Pro Renata.
Okay.
We interviewed, I think, two, 3
long
months
ago,
ago, not too long ago as well. So Pro Renata Brewery has been nominated in that category. Also some in the baking area. So our friend Anwar Allen from Allen Scottish Shortbread.
Oh, that's Shortbread, that's right.
So he's been nominated, as well as our friend Chris Martin from Baker No Bakery has been nominated. So you can vote for both of them in the category of, I think there's like specialty foods you can go and find there. So, and last but not least, certainly, and you can tell I did this as our segue, our friend Ian Blomstein has been nominated, Vitae Spirits has been nominated in the Best Distillery in Charlottesville category. So,
there's a lot of voting that we need to get going.
A lot of voting that you can do. So again, you can do it at vote.c-ville.com. Or you can type in. I'll put it into the comments feed. I'll put a link in the feed for how you're watching the show today. Also, you go to Google and you type in Best of Seville 2022, and it will take you right there. So be sure to vote for all our great friends.
So you got all the names right there.
You've got them all there that have come.
You list all the winners
on Today y Mañana. So be sure to vote for them. And if you really appreciate us, and it would be great if you could also vote for Today y Mañana as the best podcast. And so, as you can see with my not so subtle saving the best for last there, we are really excited to welcome to the show this morning Ian Blomstein. He is the owner of Vitae Spirits Distillery, and he is on the set with us this morning. Ian, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks. It's always a pleasure.
Wonderful to have him back.
Always wonderful to have you back. We missed you while you were in the Himalayas. I'm curious, how was that trip?
It was better than I even expected.
Wow.
Like when we were at the end of 10 days of walking, my wife and I were like, what do we do next? Like, we were already like scheming our next trek in the Himalayas and everything. Because you kind of learn, like the first time, we kind of did like the most popular thing. And now that we kind of learned what's out there, how to get things done, we're kind of doing a little bit more off the beaten path type of ideas and everything. So
that's fantastic. So it was a lot of hiking in the heights there. Was the altitude?
I often have an issue with altitude, and actually I got a prescription for a drug called Diamox that I sometimes take to help me deal with it. But we were walking for a total of 10 days. So like there was enough of a kind of up and down and getting up there that once we got to our highest point, which is a little bit above 14,000 feet, I had a little bit of a headache for like a half an hour, but that's about it. In bad situations, I vomit and headache and stuff like that. So, but I didn't have any of that. So that worked out well.
Wow. Excellent. And the temperature? What was the temperature?
You know what's funny is it depended on the altitude. Okay. So you start off basically subtropical. Like it's like there's monkeys and there's orchids and lots of green things. But then the higher and higher you get, it basically becomes tundra-like. So down below, it was pretty uncomfortable. It was probably in the mid to high 80s and very humid. But then once you get up top, I had to put on my puffy and everything like that. So it was probably like a high in the high 40s. And then it got sub-freezing at night and stuff. So the whole shebang, which also means you have to carry like shorts and puffy at the same time. So
Wow, that's amazing. Out of curiosity, when you're walking the Himalayas, do you get to peak Mount Everest?
Not from this area.
Okay.
But we so the area I went to is the Annapurna area, and it's just because there's so many mountains, there's no direct line of sight to Everest. But Annapurna 1, there's a couple of them. Yeah, it's above 8,000 meters. There's 14 peaks in the world above 8,000 meters, and I think, I might have this wrong, but I think 8 of them are in Nepal and probably within 50 miles of where we were. The rest of them are kind of in Pakistan and in India. But yeah, so there are a lot of big mountains around there.
Annapurna is a very famous mountain.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I'm glad it was a great trip. I'm glad you were back safe and sound.
It was totally.
Just a quick question. Last time we came, you had the phobia. When did you lose that up there, or did you?
Basically, like the day I came back, I took off the beer. And it's a big difference, both temperature wise, but people started recognizing me again too.
Everyone minus Trevor tuned in this morning when we put the promotional photo from your last appearance.
Oh really? I didn't realize.
I couldn't help it. I suspected you might be bad for that, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna go grab that February 10th photo.
Well, I was a little bit tempted to like sculpt something interesting out of it, but it was too much, and I just went all the way. I went naked.
Well, we are very glad to have you back here in Charlottesville, not the least of which is because you get to come on and talk about all the amazing things that are going on. So what have you been working on at Disney Spirits?
And so I did bring 2 products. One of them is completely brand new. And the other one is a batch number 2 because we got a lot of requests to bring it back. Both of them are from a collaboration with Back Creek Farms, which is a sugar shack out in Highland County near Monterey. So it's a maple syrup farm. And so both of these products have maple with them in some form. The one that I would maybe pour for you first because it's it's alcoholic, like it's pretty highly alcoholic, is our maple syrup barrel finished rum, where this is a situation where we always have rum aging, and I basically grab a rum that's a year to year and a half old, but then I put it into ex maple syrup barrels. So Back Creek Farms gets bourbon barrels and ages their maple syrup in it, and so it picks up bourbon flavors.
That's right.
But then when they dump out the maple syrup, they give it to us. So there's a certain amount of maple syrup that stays in there, and so we get a little bit of sweetness from that. We get the flavor. So I put like the somewhat aged rum into those barrels for 6 months to finish it off. So it picks up a little bit of sweetness with the maple flavor and everything.
Would you say it picks up any bourbon left?
I was going to ask that.
There's a little bit of bourbon too. Like I would say maple is the major influence because in a sense the maple syrup is already exactly. But the truth is that maple syrup is different than alcohol. Alcohol is a different type of solvent than sugar and water. So there are components that I think we still extracted from the wood that the maple didn't. So because we had a relatively high proof alcohol in there and everything. So there's some bourbon in there too.
And you leave there for 6 months, you said?
Yep. Minimum of 6 months. I think this is like 7 or something like that. But yeah.
Do you keep tasting it to see at what point, or do you just like keep your fingers?
I try not to touch it until because this is the second batch. So I kind of did that a little bit more with the first batch.
Right.
But I try not to touch my barrels. Like all of our big barrel stock, we only go into once a year. It's around Christmas time.
Okay.
Where you crack them all open, taste the entire thing, because if you keep on tasting it, after 10 years, there's nothing left. And even just as it is, a good portion evaporates. They call it the angel's share. So opening and closing, it also kind of like, I wouldn't say it messes with the seals, but I try to like keep them quiet as best as possible. So,
a fan of yours is all the way from Puerto Rico. Is commenting. Olga Morse says saludo, Ian. You were on with Olga. Last year.
That's right.
And she says she got to skiing with Puerto Rican pitorro. matured in almond and coconut meat back in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And she goes, try the rum made straight from the sugar cane.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
That's the stuff.
Yeah.
Olga, thank you for watching the show this morning. She's a big fan.
Oh, that's awesome.
Of Ian. And Elizabeth Miller, also, thank you for watching the show this morning. A lot of people tuning in to watch VJ Spirits this morning. So yeah, let's
so pour a little bit of this maple barrel finish.
So this is your second production of that.
Yeah.
So because I think when we went with Uncle Anthony, remember? I know we tasted. We had the taste.
The flight.
Is that what it's called? Flight.
The flight of different ones, and TJ so
he's so knowledgeable. So he's going inside. I remember a little bit about him speaking about this.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, I think TJ might have been nominated for best bartender also. I can check it out. I thought someone mentioned that to me too.
I have to, in that case, you got to add him in there, TJ.
Yeah.
From VJ Spirits, you got to vote for him as well.
Yeah. So this is real rum. So this is at 40% alcohol. So that's why I figured I'd give you this before the second one, which is a little bit more of a dessert type thing. So.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So we have a customer.
Definitely maple syrup.
That's just been harassing me about making more of this, and I basically called them before the release because we're releasing this next Friday, the 10th, and basically I'm offering him a case before we truly release it to everybody else.
Oh, that's amazing.
The maple comes right away, right? Doesn't it? You can you can really taste the maple, and then the rum comes back.
Yeah, and it's like a nice rum that I put into those barrels too. So
this is delicious.
Yeah, I love this stuff.
This is good. Yeah. I remember liking it when we had the flight. I remember us all talking about it and saying,
absolutely.
This one was really good.
Yeah, and one of the joys, I think, also visiting VJ Spirits Distillery is at least for us, if you really love the history and the knowledge of the process. I mean, TJ is just so...
It was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, he was telling us everything about the process, how it's made, how it's stored, how the cocktails are, how the staff comes together with the cocktails, and just... So you really get a learning experience. You don't just go there. I mean, you could if you wanted to just go there, but you don't just go there just to taste it, but also to learn how this works.
Well, that's really something that we focus on, and so with graduation recently, we lost a couple staff members. So we have new staff members coming on, and part of their training is I'm doing a mixology class tomorrow night. They're going to my mixology class. I do a 2-day long distillation class. Often our employees will attend that if they can. It's 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday, so it's a big commitment. but so we really see part of our raison d'etre to be educators and spread the word so that people kind of gain appreciation for all these things.
And it works very well because in reality what happens is he starts discussing certain drinks and it's like, well, let me try that because now that you've talked about it, I want to see if I can taste it and whatever. And I think it works very well both for you and for obviously the person that goes to have some enjoyment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the things so interesting about this is that, which I've remarked upon before, is just how, because of the flavors that come through with the rum and the maple syrup, you get and granted there's a little actual sweetness, but also you get sort of the illusion of sweetness without the loss of flavor by having too much sugar added to it.
That's right.
And that's actually a key component in my mixology class. One of the key things we talk about in terms of balanced cocktails is you really need to add some sugar. It kind of tampers down the heat, and if you go too far, you don't taste the alcohol at all, which is sometimes the point for some people. But sugar is very much one of those things that plays with it like that.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. And that's what I like. I mean, I like the idea where you can have a drink. It's got a little bit of sugar, but then you can taste the alcohol or the flavor of whatever it is, the rum, the bourbon, whatever it may be. As opposed to you take one of those sweet drinks and it's like, I'm not sure what alcohol is in here.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's why I tend to like cocktails that don't mask I like the taste of most alcohol.
Yeah.
So I like cocktails that don't mask the alcohol. But I understand there's a place for that where people.
No, of course.
Just want the inebriation. There's a place for that. So
exactly.
Look, my wife's like that. It's got to be sweet. When it's not sweet, she goes, "Oh, it's not sweet." That's the point. Not sweet.
Absolutely. And so I'm curious about this setting now. So this next one is also a collaboration.
Yeah, so it's with Back Creek Farms also. Because this one, we put maple syrup actually into it. So that's the sweetener in this.
In there.
Okay. On purpose. But this is a maple cream rum liqueur. Liqueur means that you have added sugar. In this case, it is the maple syrup. Zoo, my wife, was very much on me to make something like this because we tasted close equivalents at other places, more like bourbon creams and stuff like that. We went to Bourbon Country and got some of that. But yeah, so she really likes them. So I developed something of our own. And so it has the maple syrup from Back Creek Farms, the cream that I get from Wisconsin, and then we add rum to it. So it's not super alcoholic. It's only 20% alcohol. I think I can say this. It's something akin to Bailey's, I would say. But honestly, if you taste them side by side, ours is so much better.
that doesn't surprise me.
So
I would have guessed that.
Yeah. So this stuff is really good. Honestly, I was planning on. I basically was ready to release this in February, but supply chain problems. So we released this.
What were you missing?
Various things.
Really?
The worst right now is glass. Is our bottles.
Glass.
And I'm not sure if you can even see this, but this is our old bottle. This is our new bottle. Basically, I can't get our old bottle until October.
Wow.
So I switched to a new bottle.
Okay.
I can't get another. These are bottles that we got in February or something, and I can't get more of these until early July.
Wow.
And so we're coming out of it a little bit now, but every tank in our place is filled up with bulk liquid that we have no bottles to put it in.
Wow.
And now getting these bottles, they tack on a $500 per pallet surcharge, which basically increases the price by 30%. It's a supply chain surcharge. So yeah, and I don't want to gripe about this all much, but honestly, on selling a single bottle, we only make like $5-6 on a bottle. And so if a bottle costs another $1, that's a big cut to our margin.
Big cut,
And so,
but it's important for people to understand that because I think especially we've talked about this a little bit also on Jerry's show, like in a rising price environment, people when they go to retail, in other words, when they go to a distillery, and if you see a higher price than you're accustomed to, it's not like Ian sitting there saying, inflation, let me make some more money. It's sitting there saying, you as a small business owner and everywhere, restaurants, local businesses, you guys have to continue to survive because the profit you make is what actually enables you to keep doing what you love to do.
And we're in an even tighter situation. I think I've mentioned this before, but if I raise the price of my bottle by $1, I only get 49 cents more. Because the state marks it up by 105%. So even though the price looks significantly higher, half of that is actually coming into our pocket. So really, to make up for this $1 more expensive bottle, I would have to raise it $2 to break even.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So
and I hope that's the surcharge that eventually disappears.
I hope so.
Because you know how taxes are sometimes. It's like they just kind of stick. It's like, wait a minute, what? What's surcharge?
Many things are like that. Oh God. For you, I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that's okay.
I was going to ask. Believe me, I was going to ask. Supply chain stuff again.
Thank you. All right.
Cheers. Or salud.
Salud.
Y pesetas.
And this is a little bit more a morning drinker, I would say. And I just put it. I often drink it now. I just put it on ice. It's a little bit thick in terms of the cream. It's a little bit thick in terms of the cream, but when I throw it on ice, it kind of drops the viscosity more to like a milky type thing.
Yes.
And it's cold and refreshing.
This is good.
As someone who really likes my sweeter,
and you're like this is like perfect for you. Sweeter and it's got cream.
It's like two of my favorite things.
It's almost for you like eating ice cream. You know,
you couldn't have made this better. We designed it specifically just for my palate.
This stuff's awesome.
So good.
We went strawberry picking the other day. And I poured this over our fresh, warm strawberries from the field.
Definitely. I can see that.
It was so good. Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing.
That is good.
Let's put it this way. If Nick were not driving right now, he would be very upset. If he was watching the show, he'd be like, why am I not there?
I will leave a bottle for you guys to nurse a little bit.
Well, we really should thank your wife for this. I mean, thank you.
I will mention, though, because it's cream and it's lower alcohol, we do suggest refrigerating it after you open it and keeping it out of direct sunlight, too. Because cream is just kind of a volatile thing. It can get lumpy and all that type of stuff. So
that makes sense. And it's true. I mean, so versatile. I think there's so many things that you could do with this.
Yeah.
I might even be tempted to take a teensy bit. You don't want to waste any of it because you could just drink yourself. and put it over like a little ice cream.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really sort of get that.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'm actually collaborating now with Sugar Bear Ice Cream. It's a relatively small craft producer now, and we're doing macaron ice cream sandwiches in the tasting room. And she's integrating alcohol. Like the last one we had is a spiced rum milk punch, and she had like a coffee and canelles. You know, canelles are the little pastry type things she works underneath Mary Beth, so she kind of does collaboration with them, and so we sold out in like 3 days. So she's getting us. I think she's getting us a bunch more today, and she's doing all these new alcohol infused ice creams and stuff too. So
that sounds good.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, that's another one of the beauties I love of visiting the tasting room and so forth, because you do so many fantastic collaborations with other local businesses. There are so many opportunities to really experience little collaborations, food-wise, dessert-wise.
Yeah,
really big one, along with the fantastic work that comes out of Vitae Spirits.
Yeah,
I mean, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying we often kind of like Emily from Sugar Bear. We're going to have like basically a rum and liqueur ice cream pairing. We're planning an event in the future. We've done like gin and oysters in the past. Maybe we're going to get around to this, but we have a chocolate and rum pairing. So Odyssey Chocolate, who's Johnny Epps.
Yes, Johnny
Epps. So he came in, we broke out all the rums, and we're going to be doing a chocolate and rum pairing in like 2 weeks or something like that.
That's fantastic.
With the idea of, when you say pairing, with the idea of eventually blending chocolate into the rum, or no, just having the chocolate?
I like that idea, but at least this event is simply, some things are complementary.
Yeah.
Like wine and cheese, and stuff like that.
Right.
Or rum and cigars.
Champagne and caviar.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I ever had.
And so that's it. And I think chocolate and rum are one of those things. And so he has that huge variety of distinct origin chocolate and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So that was the idea, to kind of like be able to, it's going to be a little bit of presentation too. He's going to talk about chocolate and production and all that type of stuff, and I'm going to talk about rum and all that type of stuff.
That's
too,
amazing. That's so fantastic. He's so knowledgeable about chocolate, just as you were about the difference.
Yeah, exactly. And so
that was amazing that time he came with the different chocolates, and you could just really taste the difference.
Yeah, it's
the differences.
It's amazing how that stuff matters. Like origins and stuff matter. So
yeah. Now, do you actually kind of go home and start thinking about ideas as how to blend, different, products or taste into your rum?
We do change our cocktails seasonally, and so summer solstice is coming up soon. So I'm trying to get all my cocktail ideas together for that. In terms of totally new products, it's usually inspiration in some shape or form. Mm-hmm. And if I'm honest, my board has now prohibited me from inventing any new products for a while. Because we have like 14 products, and it's just it's a little bit much. But from a business perspective, losing focus, I would say perhaps. This maple cream is probably the last kind of newly formulated thing that I'll have out for a while. I have things in barrels and stuff, like just things that I started 5 years ago.
And they're still in barrels?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we got to taste that.
Yeah, we like this.
That's got to be good. What do you wait?
This one. So I have this one little barrel of this stuff that's called the Queen's Cut, which is a certain it's something that's produced in the middle of the production process that is considered the good stuff, and it's called the Queen's Cut because it would have gone to like the Queen or whatever, back in the 1700s or whatever.
I get it.
And so I set that aside, and I had a little 25-gallon barrel. I set it aside 5 years ago. And just because I got pressure to do it yesterday, I had a distributor from France that's interested in our stuff. He was with us yesterday, and I mentioned this barrel, and he basically forced me to crack the thing open, take out a little sample, and it was phenomenal. But I only had it started off as 25 gallons, and it's evaporated now. It's probably like 20 gallons or something, but that's going to be probably released in the next year or so, and that is a phenomenal rum.
So
really
how many bottles does that make, more or less?
So one of these bottles is called a fifth, because 5 of them go into a gallon.
Okay.
So in a sense, that'd be 100 bottles. But this stuff's at about 120 proof. So depending on what percent alcohol we end up thinking is like the most flavorful version of it, it'll be a minimum of 100 bottles, but probably we'll water it down a little bit just to make it more.
You wouldn't put 120 proof.
Yeah, I mean, some people do, but I'm not necessarily convinced that's the tastiest. I mean, we usually just do a series of dilutions and then decide what percent alcohol we think is best. And that's usually more in like the 90 proof zone for most of our stuff. So we'll probably have like 140 bottles of it.
And when you say dilute, you literally put water in it?
Yes, you do. Almost every spirit that you drink has been watered down.
Okay.
Our rum comes off the still at like 170 proof, so something like 85% alcohol. It's not enjoyable to drink it like that.
Yeah.
So it's just,
and it's like rubbing alcohol.
You have to be careful. Yeah. So we purify water. We have reverse osmosis water that we dilute it down with to the 80 proof, 90 proof that is more accessible to the palate and everything. So
that makes sense. I never knew that before.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that either.
So you learn something new every time.
But it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, I never thought of it that way.
Yep. Absolutely. And I know you mentioned the collaboration, obviously, with Johnny Epps coming up.
Yep.
There's some other fantastic events I think that people can look forward to.
Yeah. June's a busy month.
In June. So, I mean, you've got one on the 3rd. You've got, looks like Eastwood Farm and Winery.
Well, we had the First Street Fair. Is that still on there?
Is that First Street Fair? That just passed.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, well, there goes that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex, for that information.
Thank you for this information that is so that was May.
Yeah, that was May.
Okay, I was looking at...
We are organizing another First Street Fair, though. That's going to be in mid-September.
Okay, excellent. So that people can look forward to that.
Yep.
And I know so I think I'm seeing June events calendar here. Yeah, you got June 3rd.
Wow.
Yeah, June 4th, pop-up shop. What's that? Okay. This is also, I think, here's where we go. You've got some Darling Boutique stuff that you're sharing.
Yes,
as well on First Street. So these are some great First Street events.
Yes.
But I also know that there's a lot that people can look forward to directly with Vitae Spirits.
Yeah, and that's what we do have I think it's like Paint and Sip or something. That's another collaboration with Darling.
On June 21st, Paint and Sip fundraiser event from 6:30 to 8 p.m.
Yep.
Well, could you explain that? What does that mean, Paint and Sip? I mean, you'll be painting or you're sipping?
It's a little bit new to me. So Caitlin, who's someone that works at Darling, she's actually organizing this as a fundraiser.
Okay.
For an anti-gun violence group. And she does this regularly. She often does it at wineries and things of that sort. But it's kind of like people buy a ticket. You kind of have a canvas type thing. She supplies all the paints and everything like that. And she kind of helps people learn how to paint. And so you kind of have a cocktail, you paint and things of that sort. So.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A very artistic way. And I think she teaches people, because I know sometimes they used to have the paint bars.
Yeah, right.
Where it was kind of like a paint by numbers thing.
Yeah.
So I like that it's a little education.
Yeah. And truly, I don't know how it's executed. I've never been to her class, but I think it's something like the paint. It's something similar to that.
Something's easy to do. You come out with a little something you've created, and you can drink some cocktails.
Yeah, exactly. Hang out with your friends and everything.
I'll be honest with you. I think I need at least 2 or 3 drinks before I even start thinking about putting that paint on that palette.
That's not one of my fortes either.
Absolutely. So I know. Yeah. So that's coming up. A bunch of things. You can check it out on Vitae Spirits. On Instagram.
Yep.
There's a fantastic June events calendar for the First Street area, as well as the entire month of June.
Yeah.
And when are these coming out?
So the maple cream came out about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And the maple syrup barrel finished rum is the 10th. So not this Friday, but the following Friday.
You got to go taste these things. I'm telling you, you really have to.
Absolutely. No, it's a must.
They are amazing.
It really is.
Have the first one, right, without the cream first.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yep.
And then have the second one.
The second one to be dessert.
Absolutely.
It is, I mean, as a creamy alcohol, it is really a little bit better as a dessert thing. If you're going to be drinking it straight. In things, like we're making White Russians and things of that sort with it, which are more appropriate for earlier in the day.
Yep. Absolutely. Very well phrased.
Great breakfast drink. I'm telling you, it's a great breakfast drink. That's all I can say.
I was going to say we're going to have to nominate next year. I'd have to nominate Vitae Spirits for best brunch.
That's right. That's a great idea.
Best brunch.
Best brunch. Boom.
Absolutely. And I know. So I just had summer cocktail menu coming up.
Yep.
Definitely wanted to ask, because I know we've definitely had a lot of people asking us on Today Mañana and as well as on I Love Seagull show, what's the economic, what are you seeing as a small business owner in Charlottesville on First Street that people, patrons and people who love downtown Charlottesville should be aware of?
Yeah, and so I have to start by saying it's also always a frame of reference. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not sure if you guys recall, but I see this graph all the time because I'm always looking at our sales and everything like that. But just about last May is when the CDC said, if you're vaccinated, you're good to go. So everybody, there's this big explosion. Everyone's like, I'm going out and partying. Yeah. So May, June, July were our best months ever. May was a record breaker. June was a record breaker. July was a record breaker. Mm-hmm. And then Delta hit, and in August, it collapsed. So right now, I'm comparing the numbers to last year, and it's not looking so good, honestly. Yeah. Our May numbers are probably about 30% off of last year's May. And that's both due to increased expenses, like I was talking about already. But there's still not a lot of foot traffic, especially during the week. Yeah. The businesses are not repopulating nearly as quickly as at least I would kind of hope, as someone that's centered on the downtown mall. Right. There used to be a lot of kind of like midday activity because people were working on the downtown mall. They come out for lunch or whatever, go for drinks after work, things of that sort. So it's often quieter than expected. And there's other things too that I don't want to necessarily dwell on, but I'm always looking for how to spend our marketing dollars. Mm-hmm. And when I asked TJ, our person that runs the tasting rooms, essentially, what brings people in the door, the first thing he told me was our deli sign. We put kind of like a chalk sign out on Main Street and everything like that. And he said we put daily specials, things like that. But now it ends up, and we didn't know this, but we're not allowed to put out a deli sign. And so the city came and talked to us about it. And literally we've had a drop of 40% of people walking in our front door because of that. And
the rationale, did they give you a rationale?
There is.
It's the good one, I mean?
It's the two big things are visual clutter, so aesthetics, but also potentially kind of tripping and stuff like that. But that being said, the businesses with frontage to the downtown mall are allowed to do it. It's just that we don't have frontage to it. Right. And so it's limited in that way. The city came up with this a few years ago, and they kind of came up with a compromise as best as they could. I'm not sure if you've seen them, but there's kind of vertical flag signs where you can slide in a 4.5-inch by 20-inch thing pointing down the street. But it's not dynamic. It's basically a fixed sign, and there's 12 signs lined up right there.
It's not right in front.
So we're taking advantage. I didn't even know that that we had the opportunity to do that. So we're taking advantage of that, but it's still hurting our business.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But besides that, I mean, it's there's always kind of seasonal cycles, and things like weather matter. It was really hot the last few weekends. Luckily, we make slushies now, and we have the ice creams and things of that sort. So we're trying to deal with that. But really, it's been a little bit painful because you base this year on last year, and one would hope that you're always growing and getting better. And so it's really tough when you budget to have a certain amount of money, and that money's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Right. It's if you didn't have it in the first place, it's less of an issue. But if you expect it to be there, it's not there. Right. That's much more of an issue. And so we're a little bit in a situation like that right now. Yeah. So we have to adapt to whatever the environment throws at us. So
no, and I think it's important. We always on Today we try to be cheerful and encouraging, but it's important I think for people to kind of be aware of. Because you hear a lot about how the consumer is struggling. Yeah. In an inflationary environment. But it's important for people to be aware of, the small businesses are also out there trying to be successful, trying to grow, right? And for people to know, what can we do? maybe, think about coming during the week. Think about doing some foot traffic there. Yep. Remember that there are businesses on the sides, not just in the middle of the downtown mall, right?
Yeah.
And just be aware of ways in which, small business and local government can try to work together and compromise.
And unfortunately, we're positioned a little bit poorly for recessionary times because we are not mass production. Like just by economies of scale, our products have to be a little bit more expensive. And when people start to economize at home, they tend to cut out things that are considered luxuries, like what we are. And we're small producers, we're craft producers. So.
Because and that's an interesting point because historically during recessions, alcohol doesn't necessarily take a dip, right?
No,
in the sense
that's
of
true.
Profit-wise, but the high quality alcohol is the one that begins to suffer because, like you said, people say, well, okay, I can't afford really this particular rum that I really like from Vitae, right? So I'm going to buy something a little cheaper, right?
Yeah.
And therefore,
or buy bulk or something, buy a big old bottle or something.
Exactly. So that's the issue. But I agree. I would say that what's important, and I think Alex, you hit it before, is getting people the information to the fact that small businesses are here, right? They're part of the community. They're people, they live here, right? And they're part of the community. And in this case, I mean, the product that they produce, right, is superior to what you can get anywhere else. So if you have the ability to really just pass by the downtown mall and, it's only a block away. I mean, it's not like, I grew up in New York City, so a block is nothing, right? So, I mean, you'd walk 20 blocks to get to a specific spot. Just, knowing what's there. But Ian, you're right. I mean, there's nothing, you walk New York City and people don't trip over signs. And you look at those signs, it's like, oh yeah, look, these people have, oh yeah, look, they got that kind of sandwich. I never had it. Let me go inside, right? Makes a big difference, right? So to be able to do that, to have something right in front of your store, makes a huge difference because you see it. So you're going to have to come up with something, I don't know, on your windows or something that, boom, catches people's attentions and says, whoa, that's a drink I really want to drink.
Obviously, like I said, we adapt.
Yeah.
I would also mention, just kind of talking a little bit more about something you mentioned too, is that we are a small local producer. In many ways, our products represent our community. Like I purposely, we interact with our community in that literally ingredients, ideas are in these bottles.
Look at how many businesses when you buy like a collaboration like this, you're not just supporting you, look how many other local businesses.
Very much so. And those producers that make the gallon jugs of rum or vodka, whatever, they have nothing to do with our community.
No, nothing at all. Yeah.
So I mean, in many ways, it's worth. I would say it's worth drinking a little less to get something higher quality and know that it's coming back in your local community. It's supporting, I mean, the list, when you go on and you see the list of things being supported, nonprofits being supported by the events that are happening on First Street between you and between Darling Boutique, it's fantastic. So think about all the amazing things you're supporting by supporting a local business, even if it means you have to be a little more judicious, maybe have a little bit less each time you drink, but to know you're getting something that's fantastic quality.
And that's another way to approach the economization if you're looking to save a little money somehow.
Exactly. Because I think sometimes we go to, well, I'll just buy something cheaper and consume the same, and be like, what, maybe I'll drink less times per week and consume a little something better.
Yeah. And the collaboration, I mean, it's right there. I mean, every time Ian comes, he's collaborating with somebody within the community. Yeah. So he's already helping other businesses. So by you buying a Vitae Spirit, right, you are now helping other communities or other small business owners. It's just amazing. It's fantastic.
So we really encourage people to do that, to check it out.
And this is, it's June, July, August. I mean, this is when you want to be outdoors. Go downtown, walk around, enjoy the weather, enjoy what's there for you. Get a slushie.
Absolutely. So this is fantastic. And then when can people expect, I guess the summer cocktail menu will be coming out?
It's usually a couple days around the solstice. So I think the solstice is on like a Tuesday on the 21st. So I think it's that Friday. So it's probably the 24th.
So in other words, visit before the 21st.
Yeah.
To get to taste the spring menu if you haven't already. And then visit a week later.
We have a particularly good spring menu too.
It was excellent. So when we visited with Anthony. It's fantastic.
We did.
So we really encourage people to check it out, go down First Street, enjoy it. especially on if you're just walking around at an evening, on a weekday evening, and you're coming from work, just enjoy the fact that we have so many great businesses on the downtown mall.
Absolutely.
Ian, a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks again so much.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us.
I certainly look forward to the next.
Absolutely. Same here.
Same here.
Same here. So fantastic. And just really, it's important, I think, for people to know that, there are challenges that we're all going to face together as on the small business side and as the consumer side.
Yes. And we, it's funny. I mean, obviously we have clients that talk to us, call us, et cetera. And these are somewhat nervous times, right? I mean, you have runaway inflation and you have prices that are going up. The stock market hasn't doing great, and people get a little nervous about that, and we can understand that, right? But the important thing is to always have a perspective and say, listen, it's just like life in general, right? I mean, every single day isn't a hunky-dory day. Sometimes, there are challenges in one's lives, and it's the same thing in the stock market, same thing in the economy. And so you have to just, like you say, be judicious. But the most important thing is just like the first thing you think about is taking care of your family. When something, when you're struggling, the first thing you think about is, I got to make sure there's food on the table for the family and a roof over our head, first and foremost. Second thing is the community. The community is now part of your family, and you have to make sure that the rest of that community, you are helping them any way you can. And so, going local, yes, sometimes is a challenge in the sense price-wise, but the only reason it's a challenge is because your local community, those small business owners, are paying more for product. I mean, they have no choice either. So you got to be mindful of that and try to help as best as you can.
Exactly. Vanessa Parkhill, thanks for watching the show this morning. Another viewer this morning sending us some props. And it is. It's important, to just be aware of the challenges that small businesses are facing in the community. Just by you as a consumer to say, all right, how can I make sure that my dollars stay, if possible, in my local community?
Exactly.
And help, because there's just so much going on that you want to be a part of and assist with.
That's right. Anytime you can help the local community, you're helping your neighbors and your friends. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Exactly.
And if
so
we do that,
what are some of the things economically that you're seeing that you?
Well, the high. I want to talk a little bit about the Secure Act 2. Some of the things that are coming down the pipeline, or most likely will come down the pipeline. Obviously, it's just passed the House; it hasn't passed the Senate yet, but it passed the House by such large numbers that it'd be very difficult for the Senate not to pass some of these. And there's some good things in there, and some things that you have to be vigilant. In other words, it sounds like a great idea, but you have to sit back and say, does that really work for me, right? And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But the other thing is, we, and I know we talked about this a little bit with Jerry before, but, you hear people like Jamie Dimon talking about the economic hurricane, right? And I always struggle with people like that say these kind of things, because they're on top of the news, right? In the sense that everybody's going to hear what Jamie Dimon said, right? And Jamie Dimon is a very bright guy, and I actually knew him from even way before he was Jamie Dimon, let's put it that way. And he's a very smart person, right? But I've always said one person doesn't control the economy, and one person does not have a crystal ball, right? There's no such thing. And I struggle when people say things like economic hurricane, because all it does is throw fear, right, into the world.
It's diction that's sort of designed to cause consternation and fear. Exactly. Because there are other ways you could phrase that don't inspire such fear.
That's right. And I can understand from a perspective of running Chase, JP Morgan Chase, right? You have to think about what if. What if we run into an economic that really slows down, markets going down, how are the revenues of this particular bank, right, going to be generated? That's fine. That's what he's supposed to do. He just doesn't have to come out and say what he did, right? I mean, that's just my opinion, right? There are others out there that do not agree with him, right? The problem is he's up and foremost, right? And so my issue is that you as a regular person, you go to work, you have savings, right? And, you put money into your IRA or into your, 401k, whatever it may be. You now all of a sudden hear this and you begin to worry. And in reality, there is nothing to worry about, meaning that markets go up and markets go down, right? And over a long period of time, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example, right? I think Tesla year to date is down like 29%, and I might be off by a few percent, right? And so, whoa, 29%, 30% almost, right? Year to date. Over the last 12 months, Tesla is up 22%. So you can point and say, oh my God, Tesla's at 30%, what might my portfolio look like? But over the last 12 months, it's up 22%. So you're still doing extremely well. So you got to look at markets from a longer term perspective. How have they been over the last 10 years, 5 years, 3 years? They've been absolutely wonderful. Are we going to lose everything we gained over the last 10 years? Probably not, right? Not. And so
and furthermore, the next 10 years, are we going to have 20% declines every year for the next 10 years? Probably not.
So these are part of market cycles. The most important thing is not to panic and sell. If you sell now and the market goes up, 10, 15% in the next 2 or 3 months, you're going to lose an enormous amount of profit, right? You're going to lose everything that you've lost. You'll never make it back.
You'll have suffered the entire downside without participating in the upside. That's really, I think, the big concern I have with statements like this, because let's face it, JP Morgan Chase is in a position where Jamie Dimon can say one thing, and his investment side of his bank, right, the one that would make purchases of stocks and bonds on behalf of the bank, may be taking a completely opposite position where he drives the market price down because of these negative sentiments, and his guy's buying.
Absolutely.
We don't know whether his guy's buying or not, but his guy could well be buying because he has the cash to do it, right? And so you sit there and say you would hate for retail investors, for individual people who have 401ks, Roth IRAs, to sit there and, having participated in the downside, now sell.
That's right.
Right? When, for all we know, JP Morgan Chase's actual investment side, not Jamie Dimon, is buying. We have no idea what they're doing. They may not be. Somehow I doubt that the investment side of JP Morgan Chase is selling everything right now and putting all their money in cash.
Yeah, I mean,
highly unlikely.
I pretty much guarantee you that their wealth management division is not selling everything.
It's not selling.
Right. And if you look at their strategist, and I forget his name, he's basically saying, I mean, his viewpoint is that the markets are going to come back, that the economy will return to a more normalized position over the next 6 to 12 months, and he thinks the S&P 500 at the end of this year is going to be flat. Well, if the market's down about 14-15% right now, the S&P 500, that means the S&P 500 has to go up 14-15% over the next 6 months, right, in order to be flat.
Well, the issue is if you sell now, you're not going to end up with a
You're not going to end with that.
You're going to end up with a minus 14.
But to your point, I mean, so one side of the bank is saying one thing, the other side of the bank, the investment side, is saying we disagree. And as you said, I pretty much guarantee you that their investment side, wealth management, they're not calling their clients and say, hey, we're going to cash because Jamie says we got an economic hurricane. They would never do that.
They would never do it.
Never, right? So I'm just saying people read this and they panic. And it's unfortunate because then it's our job, right, for all our clients that read that and say, what do you think about this? Should we be doing something? And the answer is we've already done something to protect you from what has happened, right? And you can see it. So the important thing is we've achieved your goals, and that's the important thing about a financial advisor is understanding the goals, right, and the risk tolerance of their clients.
Because let's be real, actual portfolio protection that your financial advisor should be doing for you happens before a market downturn.
Yeah.
Portfolio protection doesn't happen after the market goes down 20% and you sell everything and go to cash. That's not portfolio protection. That's I lost 20% and now you're in cash.
Exactly.
Actual portfolio protection happens beforehand when you and your financial advisor work together and say, what's the risk that I can afford to take and how do I protect the portfolio through the risks that the portfolio takes, given my situation. That's where it actually happens. It doesn't happen because you read Jamie Dimon on the news and say, oh, I got to sell now.
That's right.
Because if the market's down 20,
because the hurricane's
might go down more.
Yeah, the hurricane's coming. Mm-hmm. What do we have then just before? I mean, the market's down almost 20% across the board. In some places, certainly small stocks are like down 40, 50%.
Well, again, and you look at cash, right? And the issue with inflation, right, is that it's an invisible loss.
That's right.
In other words, let's say you owned a Tesla this year. You log in to your portfolio online. You'll see year to date Tesla minus 20. If you logged into your portfolio and you had $10,000 in cash on January 1st, and you logged in, you're going to see 0.00%. You're going to say, I still got 10,000 in cash. I didn't lose anything.
Right.
When that 10,000 cash is worth 8% less.
That's right. That's right.
Give or take the monthly 8% less than it was, but as inflation has eaten it away. But inflation doesn't show up in your online account when you log in to Fidelity or Schwab.
Yeah, the value of the dollar.
Fidelity doesn't tell you cash minus 8% due to inflation. It shows up as zero. So
exactly.
You have to be cognizant of saying, yes, I may be down X percent on stocks or on bonds, but being in cash is not a 0.00%. Inflation is an invisible decline in the value of your money.
That's right. Yeah. So exactly. So you really have to think about that and say, what are the ways that I can invest and make sure that it continues to grow even if it's slowly, right? And then when the opportunity comes, then go ahead. If you want to be a little more risky with those assets, especially retirement assets or assets that you're not going to need over the next 5-6 years, then you can become a little more active in the marketplace, if you want to call it that.
Exactly. And so, you said there's also, another thing to talk about with your financial advisor is because being aware of changes in retirement.
And the one thing that people really should talk to the financial advisor, because one of the things that they're doing or they're thinking of doing is the required minimum distribution. So in other words, if you have a traditional IRA and you used at the
401k
or 401k and then becomes a traditional IRA, you have to begin to pull money out. It used to be 70 and a half years old, and the Secure Act pushed it to 72, right? And then it's a formula. It's a formula based from the IRS. They provide that formula that a certain percentage has to come out of that account every single year. Why? Because the IRS wants to tax you on that money. It's grown tax-free, and now they want to tax you on it, right? So they want to push this to 75. It's going to be pushed out to 75 over a 10-year period. So, I don't know, next year, instead of 72, it might be 72 and a half, then 73, and so on and so forth. They haven't really come down exactly how they're going to do that. The reason I say one has to be weary about that is that if you wait till you're 75, then the amount that you're going to be pulling out, right, from the portfolio is going to be much greater, right? So you really need to talk to a financial advisor today and ask two things. One is, if you have a very large IRA, should you really start considering about moving some of that into a Roth? Taxes are very low today. They're not going to be that low in the future, pretty much. I think that's a standard. I think everybody agrees that taxes are going to go up. So if that's the case, and you might be paying a lot less today than tomorrow, remembering that a Roth IRA has no required minimum distribution. So you will not be forced to take any money out at 72, 73, 74, ever, right? So all I'm saying is that these changes are coming along. Be wary about them, right? Don't just say, oh, great, 75, I can pull my money out 75. Have somebody do the analysis for you and say, are you better off taking some today at 72 as opposed to waiting to 75? Are you better off moving some funds over to a Roth IRA as opposed to keeping it in a traditional IRA, right? So that continues to grow tax-free and you don't have to worry about the RMD. So again, talk to financial advisors is important. Now there's other things coming down the pipeline, most of which are good in the sense of, I think what they're trying to do is find ways for people to save money for retirement. And it's whether because they assume Social Security is not going to be in their future or not, I don't know. But they're certainly creating more opportunities, one, for people to save for retirement. If you're a small company, there are ways that you can help out now. Also, once you get to certain ages, like for example, I think when you get to age 62, 63, and 64, they're going to allow you to put even up to like $10,000 extra into your IRA or simple IRA. And again, they haven't come down with the specifics
so in
from
other
the
words,
Senate.
To kind of help people, because we will see it sometimes that people will come to us at Emergent in their 50s and say, hey, I'm ready to get started. And sometimes it can be difficult to catch up such that you can retire at 67 right, if you don't start till you're 50. So I guess the more you're able to sort of do a catch up, because people may have assets.
They might have, I mean,
but
think about it. You raised a family, you put your children through college maybe, or you help them in any way you can, and now finally, right, your children grow up, and you're maybe downsizing your house, and you say, I now can begin to save a lot more than I could before because I couldn't. How do I save for my retirement?
So and we all, more,
exactly.
You can put a little more in.
That's right. And you say, yeah, you can save, but unfortunately, the bulk of it will be taxable, and that's the drain on your savings. While now you can say, yes, because of you've reached a certain age, you can begin to put more into your retirement savings. So I think that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely. And we actually audience comment, Beth Dunlap Marcus, thanks for watching the show today, says you can also donate to charities, no taxes. So definitely something to keep in mind. If you are a charitable donor, there's something called QCD, which is Qualified Charitable Distribution. So when the time comes that you have to take an RMD, one of the things you can do is saying, all right, if I was already going to donate to the ASPCA or to another local charity, right, the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank, rather than donating out of your cash, your checking account, and then pulling an RMD, you can actually say, I want my required minimum distribution to go straight to the charity so that it is not taxable because I've given it straight to a nonprofit. Yeah. So that's a great
and that will be increased also. I think they're going to increase that to up to like $100,000. So
that you can give to a charity.
That you can give to a charity. So
that's a great point. And it's definitely something for people to think about, especially if you have charities you're already donating to.
That's a very good point because most people do give something to charity, and so it's a great way to say, wait a minute, instead of taking money out of your savings, you're going to do You're going to do an RMD, do the RMD directly to your charity. Excellent thought there. Comment.
Absolutely. So just definitely encourage people, keep abreast of these things. Come talk to a financial advisor. Sure. Give us a call. Come see us. If you have a financial planner, talk to them because it's important to really go over these things and make sure, even if it doesn't necessarily mean you have to make a change, right?
No.
But be aware of how this is going to impact you.
Yeah, let the financial advisor do the analysis and say, here's the best thing for you. And maybe the best thing for you is to stay pat, continue on the same path, but maybe not. Maybe there's a different path that will help you both for retirement purposes and for tax purposes. And I think that's important.
Exactly. Agree completely.
Yeah.
This has been...
It's been a blast.
Thanks so much for sharing. We also have some news. We have some other news that I want to share with people. Yes, I do. I have one more thing. So it's particular to we feature a lot of Latino entrepreneurs, minority businesses here on the show. So coming towards the end of this week, the Minority Business Alliance for the Charlottesville Chamber of Commerce and the United Way, another fantastic organization. I know you're fortunate enough, privileged to be on the board of United Way as well. Another great organization. They're partnering together to do the Minority Enterprise Grant Opportunity once again. This had come out several years ago, and there's going to be a new set of 10 grants, $5,000 each for minority businesses here in Charlottesville. The applications are going to be online, so very easy to fill. I mean, there's going to be a little form. You fill it out. You can, just basically put in the little, Google form how it's going to look, and then submit your application. Applications will run. They're going to open in the next couple days. They will run through July 1st. So you have the entire month of June.
So you got some time there
to fill out the application. I would encourage you to go to CVilleChamber.com/MBA for Minority Business Alliance. CVilleChamber.com/MBA. Once the online application is open, the link will appear there. So it's right. You can already see right at the top of the page. It says Minority Enterprise Grant Opportunity. The link to the application as soon as it opens is going to be there. We're letting you know early. This way, you're ready to go and keep checking on it because by the end of this week it should appear there. Would really encourage all the minority businesses. This is a great opportunity to grow. To if you have a marketing project that you've been thinking of doing, if you have some new equipment or materials you need to start, just definitely encourage people to check that out, to attend it. I was on NBC 29 last night.
Yeah, I saw that.
They were nice enough to interview me and talk about that. So definitely would encourage people to check it out. So again, I'll put the link into the comment section of a lot of our feeds today, but it is CVilleChamber.com/MBA.
And you're saying, so the application, you can start filling it out at the end of...
So basically, by the end of this week, the application should be open. So
this week, meaning tomorrow?
Probably tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow, latest Monday
okay.
of the coming week. And then
you got the July 1st, but
all the way till July
don't procrastinate. 1st. Don't sit down and think you have time.
Exactly.
Sometimes that happens.
Well, don't wait I got the whole month to forget about it, right? So
yeah.
I would encourage you as soon as possible, go fill it out. You got 10 opportunities for $5,000, which is
it'd be very helpful.
Amount. Yeah. So just really
like
grateful.
you said, whether you want to expand or you still need some help because things haven't gone as well as you had hoped, it's a great way to help your business.
Small business.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So be sure to check that out. Again, really encourage people to check out Best of Seville 2022.
Yeah, that too.
You know, so many of the amazing entrepreneurs that have done so much. They've worked so hard. They have so much passion like Ian. And just really encourage you to go and vote for them at Best of Seville 2022. As well as for Today Mañana, for Best Podcast. And if TJ is there, we'll double check on that.
There you are,
TJ as well as Best Bartender.
Absolutely.
So just really encourage people to do that. Show your support for the businesses that you know and love here in Charlottesville. So Best of Seville 2022.
Yeah, and listen, and I'm sure there's other candidates that you may know, and it's a great way for you to really just voice, again, the ability to vote. It's a privilege. So here you are, you can vote for somebody you already know that you like and help them out.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Just tell. Plus, I think it's encouraging. Tell those small businesses and those entrepreneurs that may not always hear it.
That's right.
That you love them and you think they're the best. You know what I mean?
And even if they don't win, if they see, boy, look how many people voted for me anyway. That makes you feel good.
Yeah, exactly. You know, sometimes it's important to give that encouragement. I mean, we give it with our dollars, right?
That's right.
But to give that extra encouragement, say, you know what, I come here a lot, and I do think that you're doing a great job and you have a great business.
Exactly.
You know, so I would really encourage people to do that. Papa, it has been another wonderful day.
Well, it's been so much fun. I mean, it was terrific. I mean, I love having Ian here. I mean,
I learned so much.
He keeps me hydrated. I just love it.
I was going to say I learned so much, but that's true too. Chief says, you know, I love the passion for what he does, the dedication to the process of what he does, and I love the collaboration that it really is.
Well, and there's a sense of
how you can work with others.
There's a sense of creativity too. I mean, you know, I never really thought about what goes into creating these different, spirits, right? And to hear how he does it, and like you said, the passion behind it. You know, and those barrels are sitting there for 5 years. I couldn't do that. I mean, I'd be peeking, and by the end of the first year, I'd be gone. And it's like, I got to taste, see if it's any better. There's a lot of patience there too. So it's fun to have him on, and it's a learning experience. It's wonderful.
So you should check out First Street. So many great little businesses on First Street that you really should be sure to check out.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
Take those little detours. The downtown mall is a beautiful pedestrian walk. Take those little explorations into those side
Absolutely.
streets. Don't just walk up and down. It's not that far. And you'll be amazed what awesome entrepreneurs that you'll find there. You know, so it's been a pleasure. As always, next week 3 more small businesses. We're going to be joined by Grubby Girl Soaps, by the Jim Seville, and by our friend Jeff Camerath from Opera Seville, Hand-Tar Wash. Wow. Timing will be perfect there because maybe we'll talk. We'll also see his thoughts on UVA baseball
we'll see what he thinks.
Postseason prospects.
That's right.
So be sure to check us out next week. Send us, of course, we always really encourage you, any small businesses, entrepreneurs that you know and love, send them our way. There's no cost to be interviewed by us at Today Mañana. Really, we just love having people on and sharing their amazing stories. If you are an entrepreneur, do not be shy. Do not say, I need to wait for someone else to send my name to Today Mañana. You can reach out to us.
Absolutely.
Let us know what you do, and we're very happy to feature you on Today Mañana and make sure people know that you're out there. And so thanks so much.
That's the most important thing.
Thanks so much for being here, Papa. Thank you so much for the I Love Seville Network set. Judah behind the camera, making us all look good, as always. And you, the audience, we love, of course, our partners. We love being here with Vitae Spirits Distillery, of course, with our friends at the Jim Seville, Aqua Seville Hand-Car Wash, Castle Hill Cider, GBS Financial Services, our friends Miguel and Chick at Sirius Tragic Insurance, and, of course, presented, as always, by Emergent Financial Services with Forward Adelante, the Latino networking group here in Charlottesville. On behalf of Xavier and Alex, thank you so much for watching us. We look forward to seeing you all next week. But until that time, hasta mañana.